Hi. In the last video that I did from the Bearing Thorough Witness about God's Kingdom, on page 31 they have a box with information about the Apostle Peter. And their box included a comment that I read in the last video, but I'll reread it just to give us our bearings here. They say, "At the breakfast of fish that Jesus cooked for his apostles, Jesus asked Peter if he loved him more than these, that is, the fish that were before them." Jesus was urging Peter to choose to follow him full-time rather than pursue a career, such as the fishing business. So we read a couple of my favorite commentaries, not F.F. Bruce, Alexander McLaren and J.C. Ryle. Today we're going to look at F.F. Bruce's comments, AT Robertson's comments, and Leon Morris's comments on that same passage. You can go back and listen to the Ryle and McLaren ones. Beautiful thoughts that they gave. So F.F. Bruce, this is his comments on that passage. He gets a little more into the language and the technical stuff. So this is what he says. "We are probably to gather from the wording of verse 20 that after breakfast, Jesus took Peter for a short walk and held this conversation with him in private. In isolation, the question, 'Do you love me more than these?' is ambiguous. It might mean, 'Do you love me more than you love these people?' meaning presumably his fellow disciples. Or even, 'Do you love me more than you love these things?' which might be a reference to his fishing activity. But in the context of the whole passion and resurrection narrative, it is more natural to take it as meaning, 'Do you love me more than these others do?' But how could Peter know how much the others loved their common Lord? Of course he could not know. But not long before he thought he did, and reckoned that his love could outdo theirs. Whatever the others might do, Peter asserted in the upper room, 'I will lay down my life for you.' Now, in answer to Jesus' question, Peter affirms his love for him, but he refuses to make any comparison between himself and others in this respect. Now he gets into the actual words being used, the translation of the word love. The risen Lord uses agapeo, and I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right, in his first two questions, and phileo in the third. Peter uses phileo in all three replies. But those who see a difference in force between the two verbs here are not agreed on the nature of the difference. According to R.C. Trench, Peter finds the word on his Lord's lips, agapeo, far too cold at a time when all the pulses in the heart of the now penitent apostle are beating with a passionate affection towards him. He himself uses a word, phileo, which more adequately conveys the warmth of the affection, and triumphs when on the third occasion the Lord consents to use that word. B.F. Westcott, on the other hand, takes agapeo, the word used by the Lord in his first two questions, to denote the higher love which was to be the spring of the Christian life, whereas Peter, by using phileo, affirms only the natural love of personal attachment. When on the third occasion the Lord uses phileo, Peter is the more hurt because the Lord now seems to be questioning even that modified love which he had professed. When two such distinguished Greek scholars, both, moreover, tending to argue from the standards of classical Greek, see the significance of the synonyms so differently, we may wonder if indeed we are intended to see such distinct significance. Let us consider these facts. 1. The verbs agapio and phileo are used interchangeably in the Septuagint to render one and the same Hebrew word. Jacob's preferential love for Joseph is expressed by agapio, but in the following verse by phileo, and that was from Genesis 37. The verb agapio in itself does not necessarily imply a loftier love. It does so when the context makes this clear. On the other hand, in 2 Timothy 4:10, Demas's regrettable love for the present age is expressed by agapio. That was the second point. Third, more important still for our present purpose is the fact that John himself uses the two verbs interchangeably elsewhere in his gospel. For example, in the statement that the Father loves the Son, agapio, in chapter 3, verse 35, phileo in chapter 5, verse 20, and in reference to the disciple whom Jesus loved, agapio in chapter 13, verse 23, 19, verse 26, 21, verses 7 and 20, and then phileo in chapter 20, verse 2. It is precarious, then, to press a distinction between the two synonyms here. What is important is that Peter reaffirms his love for the Lord and is rehabilitated and recommissioned. The commission is a pastoral one. When first he was called from his occupation of catching fish to be a follower of Jesus, he was told that thenceforth he would catch men. Now, to the evangelist's hook, there is added the pastor's crook, so that, as had often been said, Peter proceeded to fulfill his double commission, by hook and by crook. How seriously he took this second commission may be gathered from 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 to 4, where, speaking towards the end of his life as an elder to fellow elders, he urges them to shepherd the flock of God so faithfully that they would receive an unfading garland of glory at the manifestation of the chief shepherd. So those were F.F. Bruce's comments in his book, The Gospel of John. The second one that I wanted to read was AT Robertson in his book, The Divinity of Christ in the Gospel of John. I think David has done a number of these online. But specifically on this passage, he says, Jesus turns to Peter and asks him 3 times if he loves him, 1 time for each denial. This time also it is early dawn, and by a fire of coals. Peter had boasted of his great love above all others, but now he drops that. So Jesus repeats the question without the more than these. The 3rd time, Jesus changes his verb to that of Peter, as if to challenge even this humble claim. The heart of Peter is very humble now, and all boasting is gone. He trusts Jesus with his unbounded knowledge to understand the sincerity of his love, however poorly he has shown it. Jesus had said that when Peter had turned, he must establish his brethren. Now Jesus 3 times charges him to feed and to shepherd his lambs. And then the last one that I wanted to refer to is Leon Morris in his commentary, The Gospel According to John. There's the book here. So this is the New International Commentary on the New Testament. These are his comments. Peter does not venture on his own affirmative this time, but relies on the Lord's intimate knowledge of all things, and specifically of his servant. Lord, thou knowest all things, he said, a statement which has important implications for Christology. In the context, it means at least that Jesus fully understood what went on in the hearts of men, and specifically in Peter's heart. So wonderful, rich comments. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, I never read commentaries, Christendom's commentaries. I believed what the Watchtower told me constantly, that they have the food and that Christendom has no food. But in truth, we were starving. What I notice when I read the Christian commentaries is the layers of richness gleaned from text, not one take fits all, one take dogmatically stated and to be understood only in this way, but possible understandings and takes on things, allowing you to spend some time pondering and meditating on the text. And you can gain all the riches from these different individuals and their insights. The Watchtower publications often give you only a surface look at a passage of Scripture, whereas I think the Christian commentaries get you to the heart of the text. Some of the commentary style is more scholarly, perhaps more technical, where there's more details about language and geography and history, historical details, but others are more warm and personal in their approach. Both have great food and abundance. So I'm going to link you to the first of 2 videos that David did about the place that commentaries had in his recovery from the Watchtower life, and how reading them helped him to land more softly than someone like I. The second one is reading Bible commentaries following men? This is a charge that we often hear, and a nervousness that many ex-witnesses have, never going to the commentaries because they feel they're listening to men if they do so. So I'll link that video as well. Thank you.